All right, hello. Welcome to this discussion board. Today I have three articles from the Historical Abstracts database, and they all have to do with the Meiji Restoration, which was a major reform movement in Japan around the middle of the 19th century. And so all these articles kind of look at it from different perspectives. And so the first article here is called The Meiji Restoration in the Late Qing Reform Revisited, Strategies in Philosophies. This is by Shiping Hua. The Qing were the reigning dynasty in China at the time of the reform movement. So, and this article highlights geographical patterns in the differences of the Japanese adoption of techniques and the Chinese adoption of techniques. And so it showcases that as being factors for the influence there, because the Chinese were at the center of the Asian world for so long. They resisted a lot of the the movements or the westernization movements, whereas the Japanese, being observers and seeing how the Europeans essentially carved up China at the time, actually took it upon themselves to adopt some of these Western techniques. And so a very interesting point there. I hadn't seen that point highlighted in some of the other material that I had read. The next article is titled Elite Mobility and Continuity During Regime Change. This is by Tomoko Matsumoto and Tetsuji Okazaki. And this is more of a sociological study. It's focusing on the changes in kind of how the changes in leadership occurred and the makeup of the different Meiji leaders. And so these new leaders came in. They were of much more humble origins than the previous leaders, but they find, these two individuals find, that as the regime became more stratified and more secure, they began to take on more of an elite character. So it was kind of a meet the old boss, same as the new, or meet the new boss, same as the old boss type of thing, where they kind of started to push out certain individuals. So very interesting comments there. And then the final article is more of a fun one that I just found when I was digging around, titled From Dixie to the Land of the Rising Sun. This is by Tom Huntington, and with a title like that, obviously I was going to read this because it sounds fascinating. And this article was essentially about how a Confederate ironclad warship went into the service of the Japanese Navy. And this was the CSS Stonewall. It had been built to be used, obviously, by the Confederacy during the Civil War, but it never made it back to the States because the war had ended. It was unloaded off the coast of Cuba and then apprehended by the U.S. Navy, where it kind of was left in a shipyard. Well, in 1867, a Japanese delegation was touring the United States, and they came across this shipyard, and they came across the ironclad, and they offered to buy it, and the United States agreed, and it was sold to the Japanese. It was first used, its first military service ever, because it had never served in the Civil War, but its first military service ever was at the Battle of Hakodate during the Boshin Civil War. This is actually the Civil War that led to the Meiji Restoration, and it was used to bombard enemy defenses on land, and it was apparently a very integral part in the victory of those forces there, and so that was very, very interesting to see that. And it was given a new name. It was renamed Kotetsu, and it was in service with the Japanese until 1888. And so that was just a very fun article to read, and I thought it was fascinating to see how much history kind of interplays with itself, and it was just a very fascinating. So all these articles were interesting. They kind of added to my understanding of the Meiji Restoration, and I enjoyed reading them, and they were very informative. So thank you again for watching.